Welcome to another episode of the Office Altering Hire and Empower with Molly McGrath podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. If you're a first-time listener, hopefully you'll become a long-time listener. As always, I'm your show host, Molly McGrath, founder of Hiring and Empowering Solutions and creator of this revolutionary podcast. You can check us out at hiringandempowering.com. Hey, real quick, I want to give a big shout out to our premier sponsor of the Hire and Empower podcast, Legal Ease Marketing. You can check them out at legaleasemarketing.com. More of the right cases. Legal Ease was created by law and marketing professionals for law professionals, and they exist to help build solutions that give you time back. At Legal Ease, they put you first, and everything they've created is for you and yours alone. So go check out our phenomenal sponsor, legaleasemarketing.com. Oh, what a fun episode we have today. It's not often that we get to speak to the Bar Association. We're going to get an inside look. Today's guest, Jim Calloway, director of the Oklahoma Bar Management Assistance Program. Jim, welcome. Thank you for being our guest today.
Well, Molly, thank you very much for the invitation. I hope we can educate your audience a little bit about this, what I view as an important topic.
Yes, we are talking about text messaging, an important tech tool for lawyers. But before we dive into that, let's talk about when you and I were chatting a couple weeks ago. I had no idea. Maybe some of our lawyer listeners or paralegals or what have you, I didn't realize that there's a management assistant program. What does this PMA and how does this work with this amazing resource within the Bar Association?
Well, PMA stands for Practice Management Advisor, and it's a dedicated person on bar staff, one or more people, depending on the size of the bar, who help lawyers with their quick technology problems. And we have been doing this at the Oklahoma Bar for over 25 years. I've been the director here, and it's enabled me to do a lot of other things, going to ABA Tech Show and speaking at it and sharing it and various other things. But we just try to help our members out. I'll always remember one of my first calls when a member called me because he had a 20-page brief that he hadn't saved, and he had made it all blank. And so I was patiently saying, hit Control-Z again. No, hit it again. And about the fourth or fifth time, he yells, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you." So sometimes it all came back. So I told him, now save it. So sometimes it's simple, quick tech tips like that. Other times it's, putting on CLE programs and writing articles for the Bar Journal and various topics.
Wow, I didn't realize that you really, truly are their tech support. I would never think with that example to call the Bar Association for support with that. How brilliant.
Well, there's about 20 states, I believe. I didn't prepare with the exact number that have some program like this. So it's several states.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. So you're getting ABA Tech Show, big deal. 1st of March every year. And this year, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of conversation about all this artificial intelligence, all the things that are coming out. But text messaging in the legal space, from my experience, kind of still dinosaurs around this. And I don't see a lot of lawyers really embracing text messaging. They're all very, regimented and very traditional and very much CYA and all the, Bar Association worried about if we don't have it properly documented. Talk to us about why you really see this as an important tech tool for lawyers sitting here in 2023.
Well, we have to go where the clients are, and clients are using text messages now. And for us to say, well, you can hire me, but we're going to make you use an email account you never use or something like that doesn't work for some clients. It's interesting that, now the practice management software solutions, several of them, are adding text messages to their features for practice management. So if you send your text message within the practice management solution, it automatically files it in the proper client digital part of the client digital file. So texting, it's here. We might as well use it. Yes, there's documentation issues, but the main issue lawyers don't want all their clients to have their cell phone numbers. And so a lot of these text messaging tools allow you to use your office landline as the number that says it's coming from rather than your cell phone number. So that's handy for many people.
Yes. Wow. That's great. And so, as you said, it's here. It is not going away, right? And so what are you seeing of really how this is important for the lawyers, support them with practice management, with efficiency, with notification of the client? What are you seeing where text messaging is really supporting the client experience and the moving of the file?
To me, I think one of the things I've learned to recognize, and I think all lawyers should, is that there's really two different total types of law practices. There's the people law practice and the business law practice. With the business law practice, you're normally dealing with a corporate officer, a general counsel, whatever. Well, when you give them a date, they put it in Outlook just like you do. It's not necessarily that you have to give them a text message reminder. But for clients that have never had a lawyer before, have never been involved in the legal process before, it's important in two areas. Both, first, to make sure they come in for that initial consultation. A Louisiana judge shared with us, he said, why do the dentists not have the no-show appointments like we do? And I just had a dentist appointment, so it rang with me that they're relentless. They give you a text message an hour or two after you schedule the appointment, the day before the appointment, and then early in the morning before the appointment. So you can't really say it slipped your mind the way we're all tethered to our phones and these text messages are reminding you. The other time it's important is court appearances. A lot of things like criminal law and family law have minor court appearances that aren't that important, but you still have to be there. There's certain issues or whatever going on. When a client doesn't make a court appearance, it throws everything off track. It makes your business off track. The client's not going to like being charged extra for rescheduling the hearing. The court's unhappy. They're not moving through their dockets. And so we really owe it to ourselves and the system to make sure our clients get to court when they're supposed to. But for your lawyer's own personal interest, the idea of having text messages that make my initial appointments show up instead of no-shows, because we all have no-show problems with those initial appointments.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's important. Later, when we're communicating with clients by text messages, then it makes sense to how do we serve that? How do we reserve that in the file? How do we put that in the file for the clients?
And to your point, I know there's many platforms, Clio, Action Step, Practice Panther, many different CRMs that you just have a Zapier or do the overlay with the texting service. And to your point, it parks right in the matter.
Oh, I think so. That's the way that it's best because it parks right in the matter. I talked to a lawyer in Oklahoma who is a very thrifty lawyer. She didn't spend a lot of money, and her solution for text message reminders was to buy a burner phone and stick it at the reception desk and then have the receptionist send the reminders manually. For big law firms, that's not going to work, but I thought that was kind of a cute solution. And guess what? If they need to cancel or original, the right person's receiving that message, right, when they reply to that text message.
Well, not only that, but now let's talk about after the client experience, which I know many of my law firms are having huge success with getting Google reviews and things of that nature after or any time during the process that a prospective client or existing client is going through the process. When they are sent that on their text phone versus on email, it's a game changer. I noticed their response rate it goes through the ceiling.
Absolutely. Text messages, for good or bad, are immediate. They come in your phone and you have to deal with them. Maybe you ignore them or whatever. I will say there's some other interesting ones. I've written a couple of articles on this recently. One of them was just published this week on Law Practice Today about why you should use text message reminders. But some tools, I profiled one tool in that article called Case Status. It's a mobile client portal and messaging platform with a lot of different tools. And again, it just kind of depends on what you want. But the Case Status people told me that one law firm reported a 30% reduction in phone calls from current clients and a 90% reduction in emails from current clients because they had their system set up to respond to the text messages with the substantive information they were requiring. If a client's just calling for a date and they text you and you give them back the date, you're good. It doesn't take much staff time to send that one text.
Wow. What type of law was that practice?
Well, of course, they didn't tell me what kind of customer it was. They just They also mentioned, you reminded me of that when they said they also got a triple-digit percentage increase in Google reviews.
I bet.
Because after the matter was included, hey, did you like us? I had to do a review. And Case Status even had a setting where you can say, those people that gave me a net promoter score that's really low, we're not going to ask them for the reviews. We're just going to ask the top half of our clients who've reviewed us positively for that. So I thought that was an innovative feature as well. In the practice management solutions, all have many have text messaging tools. And I can promise you one thing, you name the ones that have them already, those that don't have them will have them soon. Because everybody understands this. It kind of goes back to my idea about people law, where people who've never been in the system before, the more you can hold their hand and help them at an efficient way, the happier they are as clients. Whereas if you're doing insurance defense, your contacted insurance company may know more about your case than you. But so text messaging is just one way. Let's do like the dentist. Let's get our clients in there for that initial consultation.
And I always say that. I love it. Why in the world is it that us as human beings, I don't know about you, Jim, but me, I booked my dentist appointment 6 months out, a year out, what have you. I'm not missing that dentist appointment because I know I'm never getting back on that calendar if I reschedule it, right?
Right. And that's true. For lawyers, it's a little different. Like a family law practice, when I was practicing law and did family law, I learned that I shouldn't make any appointments Monday morning because I would miss the calls wanting a lawyer after the carnage of the weekend before. And so you just have to kind of pay attention to your practice. So yes, but dentist appointments, whatever, they're booked way in advance, and it's money for them out of pocket if you don't show up. And it's the same way with lawyers. I remember clients that wouldn't show up, and you'd have a long conversation with them, and they'd schedule an appointment, they wouldn't show up, and then they wouldn't respond to any emails or calls or reminders. It was like they decided to go somewhere else, but they couldn't take the 2 minutes to say, sorry, I've decided to use another lawyer.
Yes. Yeah. How does the Bar Association, speaking from where the seat you sit in, Oklahoma Bar, what worries do they have around this new technology of text messaging, what have you? There are many old school attorneys out there that are still worried about, in law school, they bang over your head bar complaints and worrying about malpractice and what have you. So a lot of times I'll even make any suggestion. They'll say, well, the Bar Association. What's the conversation around the Bar Association floors, walls around this new age of technology?
Well, thanks for giving me the opportunity to note that I do not speak on behalf of the Oklahoma Bar Association.
Yes.
I'm just the technology consultant here, but there's a lot of different things we consider. For one thing, if you're going to use text messaging with clients a lot and you're not using an app, you're going to use your in-phone messaging tool, then you probably need to change the display where it only says who the message is coming from, but doesn't have a preview of the message. Otherwise, it could be sitting on the table at the restaurant and everybody at the restaurant can see the message the client just sent you on the screen for the phone. SMS texting is not completely secure unless it's iPhone to iPhone, which is normally secure, but even iPhone to iPhone with iMessage where it's secure, if you're getting network congestion, it'll drop you down to that SMS texting thing, which isn't secure. So I'm not overly worried. You shouldn't be conducting in-depth confidential discussions by text. It's just not a good platform for complicated things. Sure. It's great for running 10 minutes late, but it's not for those complicated things. But I think the main control, just like or concern that any regulator would have, is that when lawyers adopt new tools, they need to spend a little bit of time making sure the tools properly protect attorney-client privilege. And really, that's the main thing the bar and the lawyers in practice are both concerned about. I certainly have been on the recipient end of people who've heard the horror stories or whatever, but we try to be a pretty friendly bar association in Oklahoma, and our members call us all the time and seem pleased. We've now expanded our department where I have another lawyer who works for me in addition to me and a full-time administrative assistant. And so we get dozens of queries a week. Now, we also do lots of other things. I manage our solo and small firm conference, and there's other types of things that take time. And I'm also the service provider in what's called a diversion program, where lawyers who are just in a little bit of trouble that doesn't exhibit dishonesty, maybe instead of going through discipline, we teach them a law practice management class for half a day or do some other things to kind of get them back on track.
Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. And I love what you say is not leaning, making certain that you're not using it for in-depth legal conversations about the guts of the matter, so to speak. But from a practice management and as a practice management advisor from a place, because at the end of the day, I always say, so go the calendar, so go cash flow. And I teach in my law firm admin boot camp where I'm teaching intake coordinators, legal assistants, client service coordinators, booking appointments to do everything they can to remind the client, to support the client, to shepherd the client through the process so they make it to their appointment. So for my legal admins listening to this, maybe your attorney's not listening to it, it's one idea you can bring back to your weekly rocks meeting with them for your level 10 meeting of saying, let's get some of the statistics like you had from the other law firm. Google reviews went up how much?
I think they said went up about 3 times.
3 times from texting. And so often I'll hear from people, I mean, the number of no-shows, the numbers of cancellations, so many things you can do that to nurture that relationship, to communicate to the client, we have your back, that we're going to help shepherd you through the process, help remind you what step of the process you're in, but don't worry about the guts of the legalese. That's not the place for it. And you can park all the reminders and have a Zapier interface with your CRM. Right. You just brought up something that just triggered for me. Oh boy, in regards to the Google reviews of 3 times. What was it? Oh, it just triggered me for the reminders. Oh, I lost it.
Anyway. Oh, well, that happens a lot today. The other thing I'd like to stress is to the extent you can automate it in your system where you just put it in one time and it does all 3 of those message reminders, that's worth paying a lot for. We know they're always going to be done on time, and our well-paid staff in the law office has better things to do with their time. So setting up this, I know there's another app called App22 that lets you kind of make a note on your calendar, and then it'll send the messages out as you've designated for it to do that.
Yeah, there's another one. I know a lot of my estate planning clients use Connect. I got it. I know what I was going to ask you in regards to the conversation. I hear from attorneys all the time that, my clients, they're the older population, or I serve, they're not going to like this. They're not going to like technology. Any thoughts, comments, and feedback on that?
You know, a couple of years ago, I did a program for ABA Tech Show on the importance of client portals. And I told the lawyers at that time, you'd be surprised. The stereotype that older clients don't like that or won't deal with it, well, it's certainly true. Sometimes that's how stereotypes exist. Most of your older clients have had a medical purporter who's made them use a portal for years so they can transmit things protected by HIPAA and encrypted. And so I think you'd be surprised that a lot of your clients have dealt with client portals. They use text messages with their friends. So getting a text message from the lawyer isn't really going to seem as groundbreaking as it does to those of us in the legal community who always ask the question, but we've never done it that way before.
That's so fancy. I agree. And especially since COVID, where, these middle-aged school children, high school children, elementary age, they're sitting home with grandma and grandpa. And while the parents are working from home in the bedroom upstairs, and grandma and grandpa are now on Facebook and Twitter and do on TikTok, it's amazing. I mean, to see that. And to your point with the medical profession, even now, my doctors, everything comes through text, your consent form, you're all confirming your appointment, what have you. It's just incredible. They'll send you multiple messages, and it makes the intake process so they won't even deal with you outside the portal and texting.
Right. It was interesting. There's a site called Capterra that lists different tools, and the highest rated of their text messenger reminder tools was one called Dr. Connect. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I believe it. Yeah, I'm seeing that quite often. Well, what's a big conversation that you know about at ABA Tech Show 2023?
Well, obviously, the world has been shaken by ChatGPT and other of these large language model AI systems. So there'll be a lot of talk about that. I will tell you that I don't know that the people who are worried about it replacing lawyers should be worried about that so much as, but boy, if I wrote marketing copy for a website or a bunch of routine things, my son was applying for pharmacy school, and I said, well, let's see what, he's in pharmacy school, was applying for a permanent job after he gets out. I said, well, let's see what Chat GPT does on a letter as a pharmacist job. We were amazed. We use most of it.
Really?
Yes.
For his letter to apply, cover letter?
It's cover letter to send to employers. They had 3 or 4 things. I've had training in this, and this, which of course every pharmacy student had, but we wouldn't have put it in the letter, in the email, lots of different things. So if you have an experiment with it, I would really encourage you to, even just with the free version, and kind of play around with it a little bit. One of my fun things I did was ask it what were the major impacts of World War II. Gave me a 12-point list of factors ranked by order, which would have clearly made an A in a high school essay class.
Oh, goodness. And what events are you most excited about attending or talking about at ABA this year?
I'm not speaking this year at Tech Show. I've spoke about 20 times, but this year I'm just an attendee. But I'm looking forward to basically seeing everybody. This is the annual gathering of technologists and writers and reviewers, particularly for people that serve small to medium-sized firms as opposed to the mega firms that tend to go to events like ILTA. So I think I'm looking forward to seeing everybody again. We were there last year, but it was half virtual and half in person, and everybody's still, do I hug? Do I wave across the room?
Yes.
How does that work? So we're really looking forward to it. There's a bunch of events with Tech Show. They have these dinners where the speakers will pair up and take a group of attendees out to dinner. Dutch treat, of course, but you can actually meet the speakers. You will never find a conference where the speakers are more engaged. If you stop them out in the hall and ask a question, they'll almost always stop and visit with you, because it's people that really like this, and it's also people a little bit in smaller organizations. So we're going to have a lot of fun. I am looking at advanced Word classes. We don't always know enough in Word. I just did a little video on a format painter and how nobody uses format painter, but it's a really easy thing to conform all the format in your document if you've got the ransom note effect where you got 10 different fonts in a document or something like that. But I think it'll be a great event, and I don't know what they have on our topic, but I'm sure there'll be lots of great topics.
Yes, last year was my first year attending, and it was phenomenal. I was blown away. Absolutely great information. So tell our listeners, number one, how they can get a hold of you. Obviously, you serve in Oklahoma, but also maybe what they can look at outside of the Oklahoma Bar Association to find out and to get utilization in regards to, I had no idea, the PMA program.
Well, first of all, you can go to the website, okbar.org, and then I'm the Management Assistance Program, so you can click there. And then we have archives of all the articles I've written over the last, I'm not saying 20 years, but they're all there. Different other tools. We have like an opening your law practice directory and a closing your law practice directory with resources and steps and checklists on how to do that. But the main thing I would encourage your members to do is I've got a podcast myself, The Digital Edge. It's on the Legal Talk Network with Sharon Nelson as my co-host.
Oh, great.
And I also have a blog, Jim Calloway's Law Practice Tips, where you can type my name into Google, Jim Calloway Tips, and you can subscribe to the blog and get email notices of the blog posts. So it's pretty easy to see my content on the web, but I will say it's a little bit different, Molly, being the guest on a podcast than being the host on a podcast. So I appreciate you giving me this experience.
Yes, absolutely. Digital Edge on Legal Talk Network. And it's no small feat to get onto Legal Talk Network. Lawrence and his team do a phenomenal job over there. And congratulations on that. And it's been wonderful. What a wealth of information. One last value bomb. What would you leave for our listeners in regards to the text messaging and the important tech tool for lawyers? What is one kind of nugget that you leave for them about really embracing this in this day and age?
I think if you make a plan, you need to write out instructions that are clear for your staff so they can easily see how we're supposed to do the plan, and so temporaries can step in. But I really think it's deciding how you want to handle it. I know lawyers used to have 2 phones sometimes, one to text with the clients and one for my personal phone. That's a waste and confusing. Yes. But I would just say, look at text message reminders. Again, I've got that article, why you should use text message reminders on Law Practice Today that was just published a few days ago.
Great.
And
I'll put the links in the show notes.
Great. But I really appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. We don't like to think we can learn from the medical profession, but they got ahead of the legal profession on this one, and we need to catch up.
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being our guest. And we might have to bring you back after ABA Tech Show and see what you learn about all this artificial intelligence writing. And it's just absolutely mind-blowing and fascinating.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoyed it and would sure be happy to do it again at some point.
All right, listeners, we're going to have all the links in the show notes so you can get in touch with Jim in regards to his podcast, his writing in regards to legal technology, and also how to connect with him through the Bar Association. Look at all of his work, his blog, all the amazing work thank you for your commitment to technology in the legal space. It is time. We are not going back. We are not going back to the burner phones.
No, we're not. Thank you very much for the invitation.
Yes. All right. Until next time. And we might be having a follow-up conversation after ABA Tech Show. All right. That's a good stopping point for us today. We've reached the end of yet another episode of the Hire and Empower with Molly McGrath podcast, where dream teams of intrapreneurs in entrepreneurs world really do come true. Listen, whether you're a business owner, employee, executive, maybe a hiring manager, we wholly understand. Hiring, onboarding, and leadership is absolutely expensive, exhausting, overwhelming, time and energy consuming for the already taxed professional. Well, we have your back on all fronts. For 25 plus years, we have transformed over 4,000 law firm teams into becoming the most efficient, resourceful, and profitable aspect of your business. Check out our Smart Hire solution, our employee leadership program, or our 66-day law firm turnaround at hiringandempowering.com. And listen, if you enjoyed this episode, click below, subscribe, make sure that we get in your inbox, share it with your friends, and of course, a shout out, as always, to our premier sponsors at Legal Ease Marketing. Check out legaleasemarketing.com. Legal Ease was created by law and marketing professionals for law professionals. They exist to help build solutions that give you time. At Legal Ease, they put you first as a law firm owner. Everything they've created from a place of automation, technology, and marketing was created for you and is yours and yours alone. All right, that's a wrap. Again, check us out, subscribe, share with your friends. If there's something that you're really pining for us to speak about, put it below in the comments, shoot us an email, go to our website and fill out our contact form. Tell us what you want to hear more of, and we will get it on the show for you.